Ayubovan Lamae. September 6, 1951, War Memorial Opera House, San Francisco, California. Representatives from 51 nations from around the world gathered to deliberate the fate of Japan, whether to let them back into the global stage or let them stay torn and shackled as punishment. Some context: World War II ended just 6 years before, and Japan, during their conquest to take all of Asia, was found guilty of just about every single crime in the book. Babies on bayonets and all that. Japan was so downright evil during the war, the council were straight up talking about just stripping the entire country of their sovereignty, a weak economy that relies primarily from the United States, and just gone from the international community. Turn them into a colony and make them pay reparations until the island sinks into the ocean. All these nations wanted to severely punish Japan, and it seemed like Japan would never recover from the post-war era. All hope seemed lost, but then one man stepped up to the podium, and in 10 minutes changed everyone's mind. And that man was Junius Richard Jayewardene. Jayewardene?
Mrs. Jayewardene.
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 Jayewardene. Junius Richard Jayewardene. The delegation from Ceylon, which today is known as Sri Lanka. This man believed that the key for the future, rather than punishment, was rooted in forgiveness and reconciliation. His speech was so influential, the entire auditorium roared with applause, and the vibe of the conference shifted from seeking retribution to wanting peace. This is his speech on the screen right now. It's very moving, but one line in particular, "Hatred ceases not by hatred, but by love," is an excerpt from the sacred scripture of Dhammapada. Jayewardene was a Buddhist, so his speech was very inspired by the teachings of the Buddha. Buddhism is such a cornerstone for Japan-Sri Lanka relations that a memorial for Jayewardene is set up in many Buddhist temples across Japan, including the Kotokuin where the great Buddha of Kamakura is located. Only reason why I know the guy. It's possible that if it weren't for him, the fate of Japan would have been dramatically different. I know it sounds like an exaggeration that one man from fucking Sri Lanka literally changed the minds of an entire peace conference full of World War II victims, but that's what's so magical about his speech. If it had not been for Jayewardene, it's very well possible that Japan would have never economically recovered, indefinitely occupied by the United States, annexed like how the United States took over Hawaii, perhaps even split between the North and South like Korea. The Soviet Union really just wanted to curb stomp Japan. One of the demands they have was to split Japan up in occupation zones just like Germany. So if it weren't for Jayewardene, we could have had two Japans today. So thank you, Sri Lanka. And also thank you, Buddhism. Stuthi very much, man. Oh yeah, by the way, not to hit you with the cold water, but it's important to know that this guy was an ultra-nationalist, and during World War II, he, along with a few others, contacted the Japanese and discussed a rebellion to kick the British out and possibly kick out the Christians too. That's probably why he liked Japan, common enemies and whatnot. If you learned about World War II through the eyes of Sri Lankan nationalists, the Japanese, and a few other countries, they would tell you that Japan was only trying to liberate Asia from colonizers. If you learned World War II through the eyes of anyone else, they would tell you that Japan was trying to take over Western colonies for themselves. Which side do you believe? I'll leave that up to debate in the comment section. Once you think about it, it's pretty easy to figure out who the bad guys were. Safe to say, a lot of countries were kind of pissed at this. 2 days later, on the day of the treaty, Czechoslovakia, Poland, and the Soviet Union refused to sign anything. And also the biggest victims of this war, China and Korea, were not even present during any of this. I want to invite the Republic of China. I want to invite the People's Republic of China. Looks like we disagree. Let's just invite neither, it's fine, they won't care. Isn't that a little fucked? I'd be so pissed off if I was Chinese. Like, imagine what they would have wanted if they attended. So during my research, I was like, this guy's pretty cool. He seems smart, he's eloquent, and had a pretty impressive resume. He got to meet Reagan, the Japanese love him, and his Wikipedia is full of positive things. So he's probably loved by the Sri Lankan people, right? Turns out, they really fucking hate the guy, and blame him for most of the problems in Sri Lanka today. From what I'm reading, people knew him as a sociopath who pioneered racial politics. Literally the guy who ruined the country, period. This may sound stupid of me to say, but I never knew there was a civil war in Sri Lanka. And from the looks of it, it was probably his fault for creating a rift between the Sinhala and the Tamil people. I'm not an expert, so if there's any Sri Lankan people in the comment section, please write what you think about this guy. Probably won't change the fact that Japan sees this guy in a positive light. And once Japan thinks somebody's a national hero, they won't ever stop. Anyways, that's basically it. If you like this video, make sure to share it with a Sri Lankan. Japan loves Sri Lanka! Karuna kara Japan yeta yanna! Manike mage hite! 무드웨 느라 황금 야위 아위레위 내리에 눈배 나게 마게넨 에하메하 야위 시히웨위 마 히사랑가마 데와테나 후르페 마카 파타레나 르와나리 마나하리 스쿠마리 numbatama